What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. And we have a great example of this today. We are talking with a guest today who's broadcasting from the road. He's in an RV. He's a former practicing real estate agent and life coach, and we've got a bunch of stuff to get into with him in a second. But first, the junior grandmaster who is not on the road. You are firmly ensconced in the co-pilot seat where you so belong, in your place in San Francisco or the East Bay, whatever. Greg McTaniel.
I am. I'm in my box. I'm drinking my tea from a cat mug, which Matt has made fun of me of, which you are an animal hater, and PETA's out to get you. Fool. But it's a great day. Bill, when we were just kind of talking about kind of the way he views real estate, and he brought up some incredibly good insights in regards to what people should be thinking about. And my 19 years as a veteran of this business, I don't think I've literally ever had anyone bring up some of the topics he was bringing up. And the more that you think about it, the more this has a profound impact, not just on, society, but also your business and the way you can be perceived by other real estate agents and by the general public when you really put them first versus your pocketbook. But it's not what you guys think. It's really not what you think. So when Bill brings it up, you're just going to be like, should have thought about that one. So you'll be smarter for this episode. So sit back, relax, put your pens up, and take notes. Bill, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You deserve it.
So, Bill, catch us up a little bit, and we'll get into the content here in a second, but just give people a sense of your overall career, maybe a minute or two on your background, kind of how you got to be in the position where you're at now.
All right. Well, going way back, I didn't start in real estate. Real estate is a second career. I was a marketing consultant. I've been self-employed since I was 30, and marketing consultant out of New York, traveling all over the country. I mean, I was leaving Sunday night and getting back Friday night, 3 nights or 3 weeks a month. It was a grueling lifestyle. The money was great and it was exciting, but Des Moines is only so exciting so many times, and pretty soon just that kind of life and travel wear off. So I ended up moving to my wife and I moving to Sacramento and getting into real estate. Sold my house by owner in New York, and which 6 months, and I ended up selling it for what the agent I almost hired told me I would sell it for. And I came to the conclusion, this is an interesting business, and I was tired of the travel, and I was looking for some change. So I ended up becoming an agent and ultimately a broker out in the Sacramento area, where I've been selling for a lot of years. My wife and I years ago built a house. This was our fourth or fifth home that we had owned, but this was going to be our dream home, and it was a big, beautiful house. And I learned a lot from that. There were things that we did well and things that we did poorly, and I came to understand, both in selling real estate and as it related to me personally, that there's a lot of mistakes that we can make as we chase the fantasy of this, the dream home, this perfect, happy home. And these are life-changing mistakes. So I started to incorporate what I learned in my own personal experiences. I worked with clients. And now just for the past couple of years, I've ended up living in a motorhome and traveling around probably about 3/4 of the year. I still have some clients locally, and I work with local agents to care for them. But I've changed my business now, where I'm more about course teaching and coaching and helping people make better decisions when it comes to choosing the right house, choosing a house that's going to be good for their lives.
Interesting. So when you say choosing a home that's right for their lives, it's similar. You and I use similar verbiage, a little bit different. I tell a lot of my buyer clients, because I love buyers. Most people think I'm crazy, but I really enjoy buyers. It's the hunt, right? Besides, sellers are so freaking pretentious. God, it's like a prissy teenage girl. But I really enjoy the fact I tell my clients, buy what you need, not what you want. Because a lot of the times you could afford a $10 million home or a $5 million home. That's very realistic on our neck of the woods. But do you really need a $5 million home, or would a $2.5 service your needs just as fine and bank the money or invest the money elsewhere, because you still got to heat and clean and maintain and everything else, because there's the cost of a home and the price of a home. The cost is your ongoing, bills and maintenance. The price of the home is what you pay up front, and people don't think about that. Now, are you taking that to a whole nother level when it comes to relationships, or is it just purely a monetary stance when you talk to your clients and you talk to them about this type of decision?
Well, there's a whole lot to unpack in that one question. First, your 10 million to 5 million to 2.5 million is on a scale that you're in the Bay Area, so it's on a scale that a whole lot of people are thinking, what is he talking about?
True.
But it's all relative. It's all but I too am have always liked working with buyers, and
Yes.
the buyers are buying a house is harder and more important than selling, because all of the decisions get made there: where to buy, how much to buy, what to buy, how much should you spend. There's a whole lot of decisions that get made when you buy that you get locked into. When you're selling, you're going to sell for as much as you can, so you're going to clean it up and you're going to make some repairs and price it appropriately. And there aren't a lot of decisions, and maybe that explains some of the psychology that I enjoy working with buyers, because there is a hunt, there's a problem that's getting solved, and a life essentially that's about to get created, and oftentimes discovered. I think a lot of people end up making a lot of choices, believing it's going to be a certain outcome, and then end up discovering after the fact the life they just signed up for.
So
And
basically what you're telling me is the intelligent real estate agents work with buyers because we're crafty. The agents that just exist are listing agents. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's the easy money. That's right. Working
those
with
listing
Yeah.
agents.
Oh,
No
those lazy,
creativity.
those lazy listing agents. Just sitting back and letting the money roll in.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you though, there's skilled agents, when you tell them you like working with buyers, will usually make a face.
Oh yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
Well, the funny thing is that we just went into contract with one of my buyers I've been working with for a while, and it's like the gratitude that they had. They actually even thanked me multiple times for not just leaving them because they took so long to get into a property. But you build a bond with the people that you work with, because you're running around, you're learning their personalities, you see them what they're like. You're traveling through life with them, ups and downs, pregnancies, get a job, lose a job. All these things affect everyone's lives, and you become intertwined. It's
Right.
fascinating.
Well, and selling, it's an exit. You've wrapped it up. It'd be like selling a business. Okay, you're done now. You move on to something new. When they go by, they're going to be faced with all those life decisions. But selling is, I think, more clear cut than buying.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what your ideal kind of buyer consultation type of meeting or meetings look like, and how agents can put some of your approaches kind of into practice and at a really tactical, practical level. So if you were to meet with a buyer client for the first time, this is someone who's not necessarily, hasn't been in your database, you don't know a lot about them. Maybe they came in through referral. Let's talk about kind of how you would take that, knowing what you know today, separating out the issue of kind of being on the road. We might want to talk about that later, and how you work with your clients while being on the road, because I'd love to hear more about that. But let's assume that you're rooted in Sacramento, you get a referral to a new buyer client. What does that initial consult look like?
It's more gentle than you might think. I don't necessarily work immediately with clients as a coach, and I think a lot of clients aren't necessarily ready for the messages that I'm sharing. So I would encourage anyone that if you hear things that make sense, to incorporate them gently into the conversations. I think people will value that you get it and you understand, their life that they're trying to create. But I'm not sure at this point how ready most clients are to coaching, to buying a house is like a financial planning exercise. I happen to think it'd be a good idea to talk to a financial planner before buying a house. I can count on one hand the number of clients who have actually talked to a financial planner before buying a house.
Yeah.
But you're making an enormous financial decision. And most people see a lender as the person who tells you what you can afford. So you go to a bank and you ask the bank, and this is the conversation I think most buyers think they're having: how much can we afford? And the bank will give you a number. But it's important to make the distinction. That's not necessarily how much you can afford. How much you can afford is personal. That depends on how you want to live. It depends on what else you want in your life. The bank is telling you is how much maximum they would be willing to lend you. And they want to lend you money. They're in the business of lending you money.
Yeah.
And if they don't lend you money, and if they don't lend you more, then they're losing money. So a bank's lending guidelines has more to do with their profit than your happiness. So helping people understand, that this is a life planning exercise, the buying of a house, because of, for instance, how people allocate money, I think is an important first step. And that budget that you're signing up for is going to affect your life in ways you never imagined. So if you borrow all the bank says, which I've done before, you're going to find yourself with a lifestyle that you may not have seen coming. It's not as though, and I think a lot of people when they're buying a house, they think their life will continue as it has, based, when they buy this new house, that the bank is telling them what they can afford, and that somehow these two numbers equate. And they don't. I think people learn their new lifestyle, financially speaking, usually about 3 months into a new house.
Interesting. So the whole cost of the property, the what your lifestyle looks like. So if you go from a 1-bedroom condo to a 4-bedroom house, your life is going to shift. There are going to be a lot of different requirements on you, both financially and just personal time maintaining the property. I bought $1,050,000 home when I was 26 years old. I was an idiot.
Now, what was the dollar amount on that again?
$1,050,000. Remember that very clearly, because I bought it for $1,050,000 and I sold it for $1,050,000. Exactly. I got to write off all my carrying costs. But the thing is that I didn't own that house. That house owned me. I mean, I remember every weekend I was redoing the pool, doing some sort of landscaping, ripping out old shrubbery, raking something, doing God knows what, painting something. It's like, bye-bye free time in life. Hello, slavery and indentured servitude to that property, which then I have to pay to maintain, to keep doing stuff around. And, I think a lot of the millennials, might be shifting their thought pattern on this. In the Bay Area, a lot of talk is about the impending IPOs. I mean, Lyft just went IPO last week or the week before. They're talking about Uber, Postmates, and a bunch of others. So they're saying anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 people are going to be, bam, millionaires. Literally overnight. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or $1 billion of income to these people who start these companies. And it's a hotly contested debate. Are they going to blow all their money on big, huge, expensive houses, pushing up the medium of the pricing? Some people are saying that the median price here in the Bay Area will go to $5 million, which I think they're fucking nuts. If they do that, cash out, we're gone. I do see it going up like 2.5. I could see that.
I'm going to Florida. Goodbye, crew. Greg's out.
Oh, God, I would punch the button and hit the eject button. I'm out, players.
Yeah, but I would have to agree. I'm definitely in that crowd.
And just go travel and bank it and go invest it and go do microloans and do start additional companies. I mean, where's that money going to go? Where's the mindset of the new buyer and seller? Is it still the big house, or is it the RV on the road with freedom? I mean, I want a land yacht. Hashtag RV life. I mean, come on, dude, that sounds awesome.
You deal with circumstances that are so outside of the realm of
reality.
Okay.
Well, I am jaded because I did
Go live a good life.
I did go down the rabbit hole yesterday. My girlfriend and I were napping on the couch. Well, she was napping and snoring on me and drooling. I was actually playing on Redfin, but I decided to say, okay, I'm going to look for houses in San Francisco from 2.5 to 6 million. So my mind's a little jaded this morning because I'm still in that realm.
Yeah, I was going to say I made the same mistake that Greg did, except I did it with a $130,000 house in Omaha, Nebraska, which, by the way, was a nice 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage. It was a nice house for two dudes in their mid-20s in real estate. But yeah, it was still the same mistake though. Like every time I was out there mowing that lawn, I was resenting that house. And there's a lot of younger people out there who have that same mentality, and they've either watched other people do it enough, or they're like me and they've done it once and they're like, well, I'm not doing that again, not making that mistake again. So I do think things are shifting. But I wish that someone had sat me down and had that conversation and given me a peek into what the lifestyle is like. Because Bill, you're right. It really didn't, like, it takes a couple of months to get over that new lifestyle emotional bump. It's like your honeymoon period, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that new car smell wears off, so when the excitement of buying this house, and the behaviors that occur while you're in that searching mode will pass, and all the fantasies. I think when people are out in house shopping mode, they're seeing properties. They'll go look at houses and they're fantasizing the life they think they're going to have in that house. And so, you're picturing holiday dinners with your family, or barbecuing in that backyard with friends. And you can imagine this really happy life. Where I think we can help people is stepping them back and making disconnecting the house with the home. And a house is what you can buy. A house is a box, and you may fall in love with it when you move in, but when you move out, chances are you're going to forget about it. It's not going to be a big part of your life. So you weren't really in love. It was just nice. What people fall in love with is this idea of the happy life that they're going to live there. But that can be a fantasy, and decisions we make when we're buying houses can undermine the fantasy. So borrowing too much is I think one of the biggest mistakes, getting or moving too far and ending up with too much time being consumed because you're commuting. You've got some long commute because you wanted a big house in the suburbs, but you place demands on your life that now impact your ability to have the barbecue in the backyard with friends. You're just tired, or you're strained for money. You're stressed because you're spending at the top of your allowable income level to get that house. So we make decisions in pursuit of this fantasy that oftentimes undermine it. So stepping back, and Greg's, your thought on the time, that's a huge thing. So when people are buying a house, one of the first things you really need to get clear on is, one, making the distinction between a house, which is a box, which candidly could be a boat or an RV or an apartment or a condo, but it's the physical structure, and then the home that you're going to create. And that is up for people to create. And if they're not happy where they're at now, if their marriage isn't going well, if they're stressed for money, if life is hard, buying a new house isn't necessarily going to fix that. In fact, in all likelihood, it'll compound those problems. So one of the keys to a happy home has nothing to do with the house. It has to do with understanding what makes a happy home. What is it? What is the life that you want to live, and putting those priorities in order. So is your marriage important? All right, this is, when people are buying houses, they don't talk about their marriage, but half of marriages end in divorce, and 78% of working Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Well, those are staggering statistics. I mean, those are really awful. And those aren't just poor people that are living paycheck to paycheck. There's a lot of people in $1 million homes living paycheck to paycheck, until the IPO comes out, and then they're multimillionaires. But for a lot of people,
we're all just biding our time here.
Got the one that went public.
Exactly.
I picked the wrong ones. But it's aligning the values, the way that you want to live first. It's knowing what matters to you. And if your marriage matters, if it really matters, tile and granite are so inconsequential in contrast to that. But those aren't the conversations that I find people have when they're buying a house. Of course, our marriage is important. Of course, saving for retirement is important, and investing some money and finding time to enjoy life now with our family. A lot of people live in McMansions and they take the kids and camp in the backyard because they got no money to go someplace with their kids. They're spent. That two of the rooms still don't have furniture. So there are a lot of people that get themselves in very deep financially, and then discover a lifestyle. And I guess what I'm proposing is flip that all around. Let's figure out what that happy home is going to look like. Draw it, create it with your family, and in particular with a partner. Decide what a happy home means to you, and then work your way into it. And then just another thought, Greg, that you were getting into, which was time. Time and money are the resources that we have to work with. I mean, time is the real currency of life, and we can sell time to go make money so that we have money to do the things that we want. But a house, the decision on a house is going to consume time and money. And these are the two most precious, valuable, limited resources that everyone has. And you want to apply those resources to the things that matter most. And I would argue that may not be a house. That's probably your marriage. That's probably saving for retirement. That's probably having some adventure. That might be a smaller house closer to work without so much emphasis on the biggest, prettiest house the bank says you can buy. Get something that leaves you a life, that you want to live in those other areas that you value, which is probably for, most people, I would think if they're married, it's going to be a partner. Their family, if they want to have kids, you travel, adventure. There's so many great things in life that having built an extraordinary and expensive home myself, only to find that it kind of just became normal. It wasn't as though I shocked myself every morning when I got up with the splendor of this house. It was, off to work, And
I was having this conversation the other day as I was sitting there's a particular light in the beach town that I live in that is a little longer than I would prefer. And I just about caught myself. I'm like, I'm complaining that I'm not getting across the beach town that I live in fast enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, for someone like me from the Midwest who literally used to live on a non-active farm at one point in my life, I do have to, it's amazing how quickly our thermostat resets and whatever we stretched to buy becomes our normal. And then we go right back to whatever level of happiness we were at 3 or 6 months before. So I love that focus on making sure that you at least ask the questions. You mentioned being a facilitator. It's not necessarily about life coaching them yourself, especially if they don't give you that permission, but at least encouraging them like, hey, have you thought about these sorts of things? Have you talked to a couple of these other specialists in this area? Have you talked to a financial planner? Have you talked to, other folks about how this can affect other areas of life, and just see how, get them to start having that conversation. If they want to have it with you, if you have the life coaching skills to help lead some of that, awesome. If you're not, Greg, doesn't sound like you're the type of person that necessarily wants to have those conversations. You want them to think about it holistically. You don't want to coach them through that process. You would be the type of person that would ask the questions. And then if there's some things that come up in that process, you would go, great, it sounds like you need to have a conversation with this person or this person.
Why are you going to say I wouldn't be that, you jerk off? You're
well,
saying I don't have a soul?
Because you don't have quite, it's not that you don't have a soul, although it's funny that it's turned around a little bit. No, it's that like you've spent your life around your dad, who very much is that person. Like your dad is a natural life coaching real estate agent. Yeah. I feel like you're not quite, like you have some of the same characteristics and have learned a lot of the same verbiage, but you don't necessarily want to go that far down the rabbit hole with people.
I will to an extent. I won't talk to them about their marriage and kind of how it's going to impact their marriage, but I will ask them, what is the reason that you're looking to buy this? Like, why are we on this hunt together? And kind of pulling that a little bit out of them, because it does two things. One, it helps me understand the psyche of the individual or individuals buying the property. And it helps me then be able to accurately find the property for them, but also give them advice. I've told people flat out, I will not represent their interests if they're going to buy a certain type of a home, because it's not in their best interest. And I'll just walk away and be done with the deal. And I'll let someone else go down that rabbit hole. And people are astonished when I said, I'm good luck. Neither me or my team will represent you on the purchase of that property. Mm-hmm. And they get just blown away, but they know that I have their best interest. So no, I don't go down the marriage and the financial side, although I do think that that would be an interesting topic and discussion to have with them. And Bill, in your experience, what have you seen when it comes to buyers pushing back a little bit or being offended that you would question their wants and potential needs in life? Have they been like, well, who the hell are you and why do you care? Just buy me a fucking house. Just show up, porch monkey, and open the door.
Porch monkey.
Porch monkey.
That's right.
Well, I don't know that I do ask people about their marriage or take it to that to the degree that I'm proposing. I have gotten into more personal conversations and talking about priorities, and I will ask questions to promote some thinking on it. But no, and I guess I'm not suggesting that a real estate agent should become a life coach. Although learning some of this language, understanding that it's going to affect your life in broader context, I think is valuable. And I think buyers would appreciate the fact that you get that this is a life choice for them, and encouraging them to take some time to think it through, to talk to a financial planner and so on. So I've had, and this is what I mentioned earlier about gently, for the most part, I don't think people expect or want their agent to get into that kind of detail, but being mindful of it and aware and sensitive to the fact that is going to affect their lives. And that's why I'm working on the course material that I am now. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to financial planners and I'm interviewing them, and I'm saying, walk me through the process. What would you do with the client? A lot of clients don't talk to a financial planner, or if you suggested they should, they think about it and say, that's probably a good idea, but let's go look at some houses this afternoon. So we can't necessarily save people from themselves, and they don't necessarily know how much a financial planner is going to cost. So what I want to do is create course material where I've got half a dozen financial planners that I can interview and record on, okay, you've got young family in this situation. What would you recommend? What would the process be that you walk them through? Mm-hmm. So that somebody who's thinking about buying a house, you'd be able, an agent could say, you should listen to this, these interviews with financial planners on money, or this interview with a couple of marriage counselors on the relationship between a house buying decision, budgeting of time and money, and your marriage, mm-hmm. and getting experts. So, seeing myself more as a facilitator, and I think this would be true of any agent or broker, being a facilitator, sensitive to the importance of these conversations, but then referring them to either suggesting they go make contact, or at least listen to some interviews that are framed this way, that are how to make a sensible house purchase that aligns with the things that you value in your life. And so you're not going in there and talking about their marriage. You're simply saying it's going to have some impact, because of how you use time and money. In my house, my wife worked from home. We were in real estate, and I was going out and driving. And this was my mistake, is, I wanted to live up in the foothills. Well, I was traveling an hour to go meet clients, each way. Yeah. I would go, well, that's going to wear you down after a while. And I just had this, hey, we're going to do it. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to provide for my family. And I got, just the big idea to plow forward. And it was bad for us. It was bad for the marriage. It was a draining lifestyle. And these are easy decisions to make when you're swept up in, the fantasy of creating or buying your dream home.
Yeah. I think, my mind's kind of moving here, because I did a seller's seminar a month or so ago, and I'm doing a buyer's seminar, which are, these seminars are phenomenal. So many people have so many questions, but at the buyer seminar we're going to have on the 26th of this month, I'm going to make sure that we have a financial planner on hand to get up and talk a little bit about the ramifications of the purchase of a property, see if you can get some clients, because even if no one takes you up on speaking with a financial planner, it's the pure ask of going, hey, have you thought about the ramifications and consequences of the purchase? You put X, Y, and Z dollars in the bank. That's a very big comfort zone for you now. When that money comes out, you're going to feel vulnerable. If a life turns on you, you're going to have the capital to keep living the lifestyle that you currently live, or are you putting all of your eggs into this basket? Where are we? Is this the right time for you to buy? Is this the right time for you to sell? Have you squirreled away money for investments? Have you squirreled away money for a rainy day? Oh, you haven't? Oh, you're putting all of your money into this home? You are a complete retard. Don't buy this house. Don't do this. If something shifts 0.5%, you run the risk of losing everything in your life. Is that what you want? And when people look at that, they're like, I don't want that. You're like, yeah, man, that's my point. Now, most agents would be like, why would you ever advise someone away from doing a transaction? Right. Because you have to recommend, and keep in mind, and Bill, I know you're 100% on board with this with me. It's not about you. It's about them. You are the agent that is going to facilitate a life shift for them. Now, you can be the demon, or you can be the angel. Which one are you going to be when they look back in history? Yep. Are you going to be the blood-sucking real estate agent, or the benevolent human being who got down and said, look, between you and me, bad move, homie. Like, stay put. Rent that place.
That's a lot. For you to know that much information is probably more than most agents get to in their conversations. A lot of, in working with clients, most agents simply defer to the bank to have the financial conversations, which is inadequate. For you to know that much, to have that strong of an opinion, means you know a lot about that client. But that's not all clients. Not all clients are going to let you, in that close, which is why I think if we can, and I'm hopeful these interviews with financial planners is going to be that interim where somebody can, on their drive to work, be coming up to speed on exactly those questions you're just asking, which is, if you put all your money here, you're going to live a stressed lifestyle because you've got no room for error, and life is full of errors. There are going to be hardships that you're going to face, and now you're not prepared for it, and you just put yourself in that position. That's essentially what I had done. And I know better. I was new to real estate, but I wasn't new to money, and I knew better, but I still did it. And it's very easy when your focus is a house. For buyers, it's house. They're thinking, granite, we want tile. Gosh, the rooms are kind of small. They're not thinking about, gosh, do I want to take a nice vacation every other year? What are we going to do with the kids? Are we saving for college? A house buyer in house buyer mode is not thinking about their life in a broader context. And they need to be drawn back to that. And I think as a facilitator, agents can be bringing people back to life. Just let's make this fit. Let's find balance in your life where this choice aligns with all the things that are really important to you. And helping them through that process is really, I guess, what I'm trying to create right now, is a method where agents can facilitate without imposing, without being as strong as you were just then, Greg, and in your advice. But just to facilitate responsibly. Yeah.
So, one of the things I think that, Matt, you would agree with me on this, is that a lot of agents, they operate, this is a job, not a career, because if they step out of it, they don't make any money. Most agents, yours truly and everybody else, has done that or is doing that right now. And I think that people are so afraid to ask these questions to a buyer or to a seller because they're afraid of offending them, when in reality, how much more professional would you come across if you said, Bill, Matt, Julie, and your 3 fictitious wood denting, insulin sucking little troll babies. I haven't used them in a long time. They kind of went by the wayside. I'm glad they're back. Here's a questionnaire. You hand them a 3 or 4 page questionnaire of kind of what you're looking for. Help me understand your buying mindset. And you can Google buyer questionnaires. They're all over the web. You can go download, pick which one works well for you, but really kind of get into their head. And the reason why I'm saying this is 2 things. 1, you're going to really understand what's going on. And 2, you're going to eliminate tire kickers and wastes of time. Because if they aren't going to fill out that document and really get granular on what they're looking for and why they're doing this, then they're going to waste your time. They're going to drive them all over the place. And then Aunt Sue, who did real estate in 76, is going to say, hey, this isn't a good time to buy. They're going to listen to her. She makes a great, meatloaf. And then you're out. Okay.
Aunt Sue with that meatloaf.
Bitch always gets you with the meatloaf, man.
She always gets you.
Mom, meatloaf.
That's right. Oh, man. Okay. Well, we could go all day on this, but I want to make sure that people get kind of connected up. So, Bill, this is the course that you're creating is not just for the home buyer to purchase, right? This is something that you envision the agents kind of supplying their buyer clients.
I don't know. I could see this being something that agents could use with their clients, that allows them to have these conversations in a gentle, responsible way, and let them take it further in a non-threatening way, listening to financial planners talk about these issues relating to retirement or what have you, or marriage counselors, or all of these things, and without having to be delving deeper than I think most people are willing to let a realtor go. So it's being responsible, giving them access to this kind of information without saying, hey, you ought to go talk to a financial planner
or a marriage counselor.
So it's accessible from home.
Yeah.
What's that? Or a marriage counselor. Yeah, that's a lot. And yet I think there's some really great content there. When half of marriages end in divorce, we're doing something wrong. And if we're stretching too far on houses or making some poor decisions on how we allocate money and time, I believe without doubt that it affects marriages in a profound way. And I want to get marriage counselors helping to break that down as to why and how that can be helped, how we can communicate better so that everyone's getting something more, and the dynamics when agents work with couples, you can see, things going on. You can see one person perhaps is driving it. Well, you know what? That other person may harbor a little resentment years later. So you want to find, help somebody get a house that everyone feels like they got and gave a little, as opposed to somebody steamrolled the other one. I mean, those kind of things happen in agents. Who wants to get in the middle of that? As a realtor, you would lose a client if you tried. On the other hand, you can probably point them in a direction that talks about communicating your needs, that might help solve that problem. But as an agent, that's a lot to try and do.
Well, what's the best way for agents to get connected up with you, and especially if they have referrals for the Sacramento area? How do they get in contact?
That'd be great. My website is charter-home.com, and hopefully we can just put a link below the podcast. And I've got a blog where I get into a lot of these issues, the less real estate side of home ownership, called survivingtheamericandream.org. And I talk about the challenges and things that happen that we take for granted perhaps when buying a house and buying real estate.
Love it. Survivingtheamericandream.org. Yeah, and it's got Bill's phone number right at the top there, so that's another great place to go. We'll have to bring you back and talk a little bit about the RV lifestyle, still continuing to do a little bit of real estate here and there. You mentioned that you're able to kind of work through local agents and still serve clients. I'm assuming people that are in kind of your database that are already familiar with you, but I know that that's one option for a life of freedom, is to be able to travel a good chunk of the time, but still serve your clients and still be a locally based business. So I think that'd be a fun episode to do. But Bill, this has been a lot of fun. I'm really, really excited that Angela introduced you and connected you to us, because I think this is definitely something that, like Greg, you've alluded to it. We've done some work on different phrasing and different questions you can ask, but Bill, this is way deeper than we've gone before on just how to deliver really amazing holistic service to clients. So it's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Really good content.
Good.
I hope people actually.
Thanks for having me.
I hope people actually think about this and don't just passively listen to this conversation we just had. I hope they really take it to heart and really start putting it into their business, because they'll be able to transform their own self-worth in their own eyes. Because if they can look into it and say, hey, look, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I am here to guide you. You are sick. I am the doctor. I will cure you of this disease called mediocrity, which is what everyone else is serving up. Okay.
Well, that's a big thought, because it's very easy. When someone wants to buy a house, they're going to buy a house. And as long as you don't mess that up, and this is how I think a lot of agents end up getting clients. You get in front of somebody who wants to buy a house, and you just show them everything that they want to see, and let them buy what they want. And that's an effective model for selling real estate. So go find people who want to buy a house and just don't mess it up. On the other hand, and this is where this gets hard, is, these are hard questions. You're trying to help somebody go to a different level. And I don't think you can push people there. I think you want to let people know that you're prepared to go there, or to help them, consider things they might not have considered, so that there's just a little more balance, People get house crazy, and they spend all the bank will lend them, and they end up not necessarily happy for it. So if we could just dial that back off 11, and as agents help people find a little better balance in their lives, I think you will find greater loyalty, because that is not what people expect from a real estate agent. I have a base of clients that like and value what I've done for years, because I took that interest, Greg. I took that interest in their lives, and wanted to make a contribution, in for this to be a positive thing. And they knew that, and they believed that, and they could tell when someone is just genuine and trying to help, as opposed to somebody that's just trying to sell a house. And those are people that clients will keep around and refer and use over and over again.
I've told this story many, many times. I'll tell it one more time. 25 plus years ago, my dad, there's a family that they were thinking about selling their house. My dad, they had, I think they had 2 daughters and a son, if I remember. I think, because I grew up with the kids, I should remember them, right? But they were my age, so we were in junior high, or maybe just stepping into high school or something like that. But he's like, "Hey, this is not the time for you to sell. Stay put. Keep them in the schools. Just enjoy the life here. Don't uproot them, because blah blah blah." Give a bunch of reasons. 20 some odd years later, they picked up the phone and go, "Hey, Terry, it's time for us to sell." Now, they've had hundreds, if not thousands, of interactions with other real estate agents, other mailers, other calls, emails, the whole 9 yards. But they chose to call him 20 some years afterwards, because of the advice that bettered them, not himself at that point. My dad and the client and I were all sitting there talking, and this other real estate agent actually came up in the conversation, goes, and he wasn't kidding. This other agent was not kidding when he's like, "Hey, why are you, he said this right in front of us. Hey, why are you working with the McDaniel Callahan team? Come over and work with me. I'll cut your commission." And the client looks at us, looks at him, and goes, "Nah, man, I'm going to work with him. That's cool." Our client walked away with $850,000 net cash in their pocket from that decision. And they went and bought 2 houses in Texas, one on the lake filled with snakes and an alligator. Why would you do that?
Greg, your stories all have a little funny twist somewhere in them.
Usually the dollar amounts, but sometimes reptiles. Yeah.
and the lake with snakes.
Why would you do that? You have to check your shoes before you put them on, so you don't have a snake in your shoes. Poor life decision.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. We'll have to get Bill back on the show. Greg, how do people connect with you? Quickly.
With love and kindness and grace, and
besides that,
peace and namaste. Go ahead and go to bookmcdaniel.com. Let's talk about EXP, guys. Bookmcdaniel.com. Matt and I are building a tribe of absolute amazing human beings. If you guys are looking to make more money, still sell real estate, please reach out to me. It's 30 minutes on your calendar. If you don't like it, I will give you Matt's phone number, and you can send him hate mail. But if you love it, you can join our EXP team. So bookmcdaniel.com. That's how you get a hold of us. Matt, where do they rate us?
Go to Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Give us a 5-star. And then if you enjoyed a guest episode like Bill's episode today, make sure to give him a shout out in the review. All right, Greg, shall we put a nice bow upon this episode? Let's call it a navy blue bow. We'll wrap it tight right around this episode, and let's call it good.
We'll just strangle this thing. You sicko. Guys, we got a nice, pretty blue bow on this thing. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for hopefully digesting what Bill has been saying to you, because it's really valuable information. Share this thing out to somebody. We can't do this without you. So Matt and I truly do love you. We appreciate you. And until next time, peace out, ninjas. We're gone.